development, personal care, and so many things. So yes, Mahmooda, I think we will have to start.
Nur Ahmed, thank you so much for the compliment. It's great. Thank you for the support. Really a lot of it started around GYMHA and all the work that we've been doing together. But I see we're live, and I think we need to just jump right into it while we're having
And
this whole.
absolutely, congratulations, Mahmooda. I'm so happy to know that. Actually, very happy for you.
I have to explain my journey to you, and I think tonight's topic. So let me just welcome everybody that's joining us from all over the world, wherever you're coming in from. Welcome to GYMHA's Mind Matters talk show, another episode designed to captivate and stimulate your mind. I've got with me today on the platform Seetha Sagaran and Nur Ahmed. Both of them are ambassadors with GYMHA, working in the mental health space. And tonight, GYMHA, being Global Youth Mental Health Awareness, brings you a wonderful topic. And I think it's so relevant for everybody in the workspace, and whether you're self-employed, some sort of entrepreneur, or actually informal employment. And tonight we're going to be talking about and answering questions around how to manage mental health in the workplace. So before we jump into it, I'm going to give an opportunity to my panelists to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit more about the work that they do and the spaces that they're involved in, and then we'll jump right into the topic. I am going to give the floor firstly to Seetha. Ladies first.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mahmooda. It is a pleasure to be part of this panel and to be part of this GYMHA talk show episode. And it's always a pleasure to be a part of GYMHA. And I appreciate and admire Professor Jude and, of course, the team of GYMHA for promoting mental health awareness globally to the extent that they do. And I'm Seetha Sagaran, as Mahmooda said, and I'm a personal development trainer and consultant. I also have my own mentoring program, and I'm also an author. So thank you very much for the warm welcome, Mahmooda. Over to you.
Seetha, thank you so much. Okay. I really like that introduction, and I think it's given the platform, or at least the audience, an idea of what you're going to be bringing to the table. I want to also welcome Faith has joined us. I'm going to get to Faith in a moment, but I'm handing the mic over to Nur Ahmed. Just a brief introduction. Tell us all about what you're doing in your world.
Well. Thank you so much, Mahmooda, for giving me the floor. Yes, hi, hello, and everyone. My name is Line Ambassador Nur Ahmed. So basically, I'm the GYMHA ambassador as well as event coordinator of GYMHA. And apart from that, I am now professionally I'm working in international NGO BRAC for the humanitarian crisis management as a deputy manager sub-grants. And apart from that, I have another identity as I am the youth influencer, even and have been performing the international platform as an international speaker, co-author, and some other roles. So over to you, Mahmooda. I'm really glad to be part of this session.
Fabulous. I think we're in for an amazing evening. Faith, welcome. I want you to unmute your microphone and introduce yourself to our amazing audience. And I'm hoping you're chiming in because we're here. We're taking it from India, Australia, Zimbabwe. I definitely know Nigeria is chiming in as well. So Faith, over to you. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
It's evening here in Nigeria. Okay, so I'm Faith Joshua-Shittu. I am a people management professional. I work in HR. I am currently a business analyst as well. I interact with a lot of individuals on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, that's pretty much about me. Yeah.
Faith, welcome. And rightly placed, we're going to be talking a lot of stuff to do with the business world and what is the business world without employees and workers and managers. And this is exactly why this topic is so relevant. Again, the theme for tonight is how to manage mental health in the workplace. So, my first question to this amazing panel, and Faith, I'm going to throw this one straight at you. What are the common mental health issues that are found in workplaces?
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for the question. In the workplace, we have people having cases such as stress from work. Sometimes it might not necessarily be from work. It could be from, well, other places, maybe from home. Generally life is stressful. Yeah, there's stress, there is burnout, there is anxiety, right? There are people that suffer grief, and then it translates into them not being able to manage their mental health, or their mental health is hampered with as a result of grief. I've said stress, anxiety, burnout. Yeah, there are a whole lot of others, but these are major cases that we see day in, day out in the workplace.
You're absolutely right about that, and it's the melting pot, because you're bringing in all these people from different backgrounds, and you're rightly saying we're bringing in our stresses from home. But maybe you want to add to that, Seetha, any thoughts around this first question?
Thank you, Mahmooda. I would definitely second what Faith has just conveyed to us. Anxiety, depression, and of course, stress as well as burnout. And I would like to add to that by mentioning lack of clarity. And also, there's a lack of support which they believe they are experiencing. And of course, in many cases, not many, I would say, but substantial. There are cases of substance use disorder as well, caused by the mental health pressures that employees go through.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I agree with what both of you have contributed. Noor Ahmed, I'm coming to you now. We've spoken about exactly what the stresses are and what the mental health issues are that we find in the workplace. But maybe can you tell us a little bit more about the signs that we might be able to see that can identify as mental health problems in employees? What have you found in your experience?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And yes, in as I'm working in international organization, so I have gone through, even I have experience in some corporate area. The environment is super, I mean, it's currently, if I consider that the environment totally changed, like corporate environment is really the opposite of the international or multinational organizational environment. So environment also the affect that. But yes, the question is the what are the signs of the mental issues problem in employees. So I would like to say very specifically that we can have the experience and unhealthy appearance when they have issues regarding the mental health issue within their organization. Even their mood swing frequently, you can find they can easily irritated, frustrated, even sometimes they show their angerness, even they're taking a lot of times off, and they're like they are not able to continue their work. Is kind of behavior is going on. Not only that, if I am focusing more that even they're changing their eating, sleepy problem, behavior, even they are confused, that their inability to solve the problem or solve the all the activities. And furthermore, I would like to say they have unnecessary fear, worry, anxiety that already Seta shared, and even the decrease of productivity, also the sign of their mental issues within the organization. And finally, I would like to say the abuse of the drug, alcohol. This is another the sign that the employee have been facing the mental issues within their organization. So over to you, Mahmooda.
There's some very key issues you brought up there, but I love how you and Seetha are in agreement around the issue around substance abuse. Weirdly enough, Seetha spoke about it in terms of it becoming a contributor to mental health problems. And then you speak of it as being a coping mechanism that people will probably turn to. And this contributes to mental health problems that as a sign of a mental health problem in employees. And I think it's really important. I'll give you a bit of a background. When I initially joined GYMHA, I was fresh out of a divorce, trying to get back into the working world. And I didn't know how to deal with it. I had been a stay-at-home mom for a very long time. So there was this feeling of probably inadequacy and incompetence. You know, you haven't used your skills in a very long time. So there was this really big overwhelm. And it's like, am I going to cope? So I fell into the cycle of maybe procrastination and you know you can do the task, but you're too scared to attempt the task, that sort of thing. So thank you so much for that. Um, Faith, maybe you can tell us, how can managers, because you're already in the entrepreneurial space, how can managers support employees with mental health issues?
Okay, thank you, Mahmooda. I hope I'm correct with that pronunciation. Yeah,
Perfect.
okay. Yeah, so I believe that mental health, like we've all said, is something that should be taken seriously in the workplace. Employers particularly need to pay more attention to this because, of course, if we see the data on the impact of mental health, on businesses, we have cases of loss of productive staff as a result of mental health. In fact, it hampers on productivity, it hampers on the overall return of a business. So I believe that managers need to pay attention to this. And one way that employers can help managers, right, is to have them trained. Managers need to, first of all, understand what mental health is about. Managers also need to know how to work with people, know how to manage their associates, people working with them. And of course, because there are diverse personalities in workplaces, it means that you have a whole lot of people to deal with, people with diverse backgrounds, people with different orientation to life. So yes, first step is for managers to be aware of mental health issues in the workplace. And taking it up from that place of awareness, managers need to be open enough. There has to be an open door that allows for employees to approach their line managers. Employees want to know that I am safe, they want to feel safe, and they want to be sure that when they discuss with their line managers, there would be obvious solutions. So managers need to be aware. There has to be that openness, there has to be that vulnerability, there has to be the acceptance of people and where they are coming from. And then there has to be the when you have say for example, now you have a scenario, you have an employee who is willing to share their mental health situation with you. You have to treat it on a one-on-one basis, right? It's not something general. You don't come out in open meetings, right, and talk about things pertaining to an individual staff. So there has to be that confidentiality, and there has to be that ability to meet the employee or the supposed mental health person at their level, right? And then when they tell you what their challenges are, a good place to pay particular attention is to note that it is workplace. It has to be focused on the workplace. So meaning that you have to set boundaries, right? You don't want to intrude into people's personal spaces, into what their personal life is all about. It has to be focused on how it impacts on the organization and on the business. And when people now, share their experiences with you, you also want to be careful on the kind of advice that you give to them, right? Don't be quick to give them advice, because each person's case is different. It's just like people having other illnesses. You don't treat a you treat each case on a case by case basis, right? So when they come up to you and they tell you what their challenge is, be quick not to give them advice. Rather, you may want to point them to experts, mental health experts, who is able to, drill down on their individual scenarios and cases, and able to, profile case by case solution. Yeah, so I think that these are ways that managers, can help curb workplace mental issues. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that was a very detailed and insightful response to my question. I like that you touched on training managers and raising awareness, especially within the management, so that they become almost like the first aid. It's the first line of help that an employee is exposed to. But I also like how you emphasize that it's really important not to just be tempted to just give advice, because this is the space for professionals. Some time ago, Seetha, you may remember, GYMHA did offer a certificate course around mental health in the workplace. And I know I did that course and I found it like really helpful. Are you able to tell us a bit more about what people would find in courses such as that would help them to deal with the workplace, mental health awareness in the workspace?
I think I would say a few of the ways that attending these courses can help is, I think, as Noor had mentioned a little earlier, it's the first one would be to the improvement of productivity, apart from, of course, a reduction of stress and anxiety. And at the same time, it is a reduction. You're talking from the individual perspective, or you're talking about from the organizational perspective, Mahmooda? Can you please specify?
I think mainly for this particular question around the organization's perspective.
All right, all right.
So this is mainly where the course that GYMHA offers really focuses on training managers and training people on how to deal with mental health.
Got it. Thank you. Because I just had a doubt whether it was from the organizational perspective or from the individual perspective. So from the organizational perspective, it would be improved productivity. And the second one would be in the reduction of costs and risks as well. And number three would be a more positive workplace environment, because you have healthier communication. And you would also find that the employees are more empowered to take up responsibilities, to become more accountable of what their role is within the organization. And also another aspect is, I think, organizations who are supporting mental health programs or courses would also be engaging in employee assistance programs, which is called EAP as a short form. And I think they would also be careful about creating a more a space for relaxation within the organization as well. And I think, especially when you talk about wellness programs here, I would very much like to mention that here, because for all those organizations and representatives of organizations who are currently watching this episode today, I would like to mention that wellness programs, especially, can benefit the organization in various ways, such as improved employee health behaviors and reduce risk of elevated health risks as well, reduced healthcare costs, improved, as I mentioned, productivity, and decreased absenteeism, which is something which my colleague Noor had also mentioned, that that would also be curtailed in this manner.
You're absolutely right. Before I come back and expand on what you've been saying, or rather comment on it, Noor, I'm throwing the mic over to you. Around the benefits of promoting mental health in the workplace. So I'm going to come to you now, Noor. Can you tell us a little bit more about your thoughts around this?
Well, absolutely. I would like to say, I like to add something because when you are actually promoting the mental health issues within the organization, you will definitely get a good benefit. If I very specify, staff retention in the organizational perspective, that staff turnover will reduce if the mental health promoting mental health issues and give the give them more benefit, more concern about their mental health issues. And this is ultimately the staff feel so comfortable environment. That's the reason the reduce of staff turnover and can be happen. And if I'm consider the more that if you are actually promoting these mental health issues and try to emphasize some of the best practice to ensure the mental health issues, ultimately it enhances the reputation of the organization. How? Because the one of the staff they share the best practice, they have benefited by this uh, activities from the organization. They ultimately share to the other people. That can be a mouth to mouth, and that can be in general, it will enhance the reputation of the organization. If I'm focusing the more thing that is actually is interlinked with the Seetha share, that this improve the working relationship, and that is required nowadays, because nowadays we are having and facing a lot of issues regarding the interpersonal communication as well as interpersonal communication, because these two relationship, one is from to within yours and others to others. So this is also impact and affect for the mental health issues. But if you are really promoting the mental health issues within your organization, ultimately it improve the working relationship with each and everyone. And lastly, I would like to say that the strength, the capacity of the organization by the teamwork. This is actually the interlink the other one, but teamwork and the over environment seems to be the very healthy environment within the organization. And ultimately, the one it thinks, the ultimate goal, ultimate productivity of the organization will increase. That's all about me. Thank you, Mahmooda.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I'm going to just say,
Mahmooda,
yes,
I'm sorry, Mahmooda, can I please add to what was said, if you don't mind?
absolutely, go for it.
Thank you, Mahmooda. I would also like to mention that when we consider mental health awareness in the workplace environment, I think the number one step which a manager would probably need to consider is to normalize the topic of mental health in the workplace. Because I think there is still a certain stigma still associated with mental health issues in a workplace, in many places. So I think it's very important to normalize the subject of mental health and also regularly check with the employees to see how they are getting on. Think about what might be causing them stress, and also giving them the permission to talk about home as well as work issues if they wish.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% correct. We talk about these things at all our conferences and stuff about the languaging around this topic, and sometimes language can actually be very divisive, and it can actually exacerbate the stigmas around it. So 100% you're right. We were talking about awareness programs in organizations and activities that we could do. I don't know about elsewhere in the world, but in Zimbabwe, over the last maybe since post COVID, we've seen a lot of organizations organize wellness days. For example, marathons. You've got everybody doing Zumba, and they open it up as a market. Firstly, it's a wellness event, but they open it up to the public, so it becomes almost like a marketing event. So it's a two-pronged approach. So I've got my concerns and my thoughts around this, because a lot of the time you're doing it for the benefit of the workers. But if you're opening it up now to the public, the workers are then now having to represent the organization at these events. And instead of it being a team building, it ends up being added stress for the employees. And I don't know if you've seen stuff like this going on around the world elsewhere, and what your thoughts may be around that. Maybe I can ask Faith.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Mahmooda and Seetha, for your contributions. Really, like you pointed out, wellness programs should be focused on helping the employees, or better still, workplace professionals, if that is a better way to put it, right? And once it shifts from that into having to involve the employees in delivering the wellness program itself, it means we are encumbering them, like you said. And for example, my organization organized something last year. The last place I worked, we brought in a mental health company to train our employees. It was focused, directed at the employees, right? Basically to address mental health issues and how to help them. I think that is a better wellness approach that could be deployed in creating awareness as to the one you just pointed out, that involves the employees now being the ones participating and organizing the event, organizing the program. In the end, they may end up not even benefiting from such event. So I think tailor-made trainings, having one-on-one, bringing in experts to talk to your employees will achieve better results. You could also, some other wellness programs that could be deployed could be therapy. In Nigeria, we now have organization including things like spa sessions, therapy sessions, having counseling units within their organizations that can reach out to, or should I say, that can reach out or help employees, so that when they have issues to discuss, right, they can easily go to see a therapist, or probably just walking into a counseling expert's office. I think these are more tailored solutions that would benefit employees more in the workplace, in helping them overcome their mental health issues.
Absolutely. Seetha and Noor, do you want to add anything to what Faith has just said?
Yes, I think I would like to add one more thing, which I think is pretty important, and that's something which Thank you, Faith, for what you have contributed. I think I'd like to just mention something which came to my mind, something which Mahmooda had mentioned about language. So I think as a manager, one of the first initial steps is be conscious about the kind of language that you are using when you are communicating with the employees as well. For example, when it comes to um, perspectives that you are communicating on performance reviews, how can we shift the perspectives? For example, when you find that someone has not performed up to the mark, instead of addressing them as you need to work harder, probably the manager or the management could address the issue by having a small talk with the person and asking them, how can we possibly help you to improve your performance from what it is in the current state? So when that happens, I think the language used, the tone used also would enable the employee to feel a lot more confident and also more supported in the workplace environment, which I think can also trigger a certain mental health issue when not addressed in time. And once again, also implement the employee well-being program successfully by training the right team of people who would be able to take care of various segments like Faith had mentioned, such as coaching or even mentoring within the organization. Over to you, Mahmooda.
Absolutely, absolutely. Something came to mind. We're talking about supporting the employees in the workspace, and Seetha, you're right in that sometimes you need to actually train the employees and stuff like that. But I'm thinking now more like when you have a situation where you cannot retrain an employee or redirect them to maybe areas where they probably better function, and it has to come down to stuff like dismissals, ending somebody's employment. Now, something Faith said much earlier in the conversation, she spoke on the area of grief. Is there a way to conscientize or the human resources departments, for example, about ways and means of letting staff go and supporting that employee even as you're ending the line of employment? Faith, what do you see in the business world when you're dealing with dismissals?
Okay, thank you, Mahmooda. And this is a very critical question, and this calls for employers of labor and particularly line managers and HR professionals. In the workplace, there will always be people who would not perform at the level expected. For some people, it could be as a result of mental health issues. For example, you mentioned grief. I would use myself as an example. I remember at the time I had my first child, I I literally became forgetful. I could forget anything, and it wasn't because I was an underperformer but it came up at that season. What I did was to talk about it. I had to, inform my line manager about it. I am beginning to forget. And then it was in that period I got to know that, oh, it was a thing with just having babies, right? So, yeah, there could be underproductivity due to mental health issues. And that is why we've talked about how managers, employers can help employees come to terms with issues they are having mentally. Now, when it comes to appraisals, performances, and how to let go of employees, employers also need to understand that the transition process from when an employee is dismissed and how they leave the organization affects your brand. Because if you dismiss me and I just walk out and I am angry, I'm infuriated, I feel like these people just pushed me off, I would go out there and probably spread such negativities about that company, which might not necessarily be true. So, employers, line managers, and HR professionals need to be able to manage transitioning processes where dismissal has taken place. Of course, before dismissal takes place, in the case of underproductivity, there has to there must have been those communication, between the line manager, HR, and the employee as to your performance is dwindling. It could be from mental health related issues, and you've stepped in, you've tried to help, you've provided as much support as possible. But then if it leads to the point where dismissal has to take place, that transitioning process has to be well managed, right? You want to be sure that the employee knows that you've done your best within your means as an employer to help them through that process, right? Through the situation that is leading to that dismissal. And so that when they are now leaving, they know that, oh, this organization has helped me, has tried. But again, the organization has to move forward, because once there is decrease in productivity, organizations would also begin to feel the impact in their numbers, in their performance figures, in their profits and all. So of course, there would always be those cases where there will be dismissal, but that transitioning process has to be well managed both by the line manager of the employee and the HR professional or the HR leaders that would be, terminating the employment. Yeah, so I think that is a good way to manage that transitioning process, so there is no disgruntlement, there is no bitterness, there is no anger of, oh, I was just let go without proper communication. Thank you.
Absolutely. Wow. That was, yeah, very detailed. And I'm coming over now to Noor Ahmed for your contribution around this particular question. What have you got to say? Any thoughts around what Faith has said?
Well, actually, Faith and as well as Seetha have shared such a wonderful way. And if I'm really considered as a professional, I have experienced that in the kinds of corporate area where the corporate culture also the effect for the staff turnover, because not only the interpersonal communication, interpersonal relationship, but corporate culture, and if the culture appreciated or not taking any action regarding the bullying, regarding the behavior, regarding the excessive words of the line manager, that time the ultimate employee and staffs are not find the interest to do their job, and that's the reason mainly mostly the staff turnover happen. But the situation that I shared earlier, that international flat organizational environment and the corporate national organizational environment is completely different and completely the opposite. And that's the reason that most of the corporate staffs, corporate employees have been facing a lot of pressure, a lot of unethical issues. Even they are bound to do some unethical issues to secure their job. Even not only that, they also bound to keep continue the illegal activities secretly, to continue to secure their job and to get the promotion by the help, by the aids of the line manager. All their behavior they accepted. That's the reason, I mean, I would like to focus that corporate culture now is changing, but if I consider the traditional corporate culture, there's effect mostly rather than the line manager action. Because if the corporate culture dealing with this thing from the very beginning till now, so how can we retain your staff? How can you retain the experienced personnel? How can you retain the experienced worker employee within your organization? This would be a burning question right nowadays. And if I'm considered, if the organization doesn't able to provide the opportunities to upgrade their situation, upgrade their position, so how a staff, a potential candidate or potential employees are able to retain their job within the organization. So I think I would like to say mostly the organizational culture, organizational practice, organizational behavior, and organizational gesture and posture also affect the employee to turnover mostly rather than the impact of the line manager. Over to you.
I love how you brought corporate culture into it. Seetha, go for it before I jump in here and share my thoughts.
In fact, thank you, Mahmooda. Thank you so much, Faith and Noor, for what you have contributed here. I think what I would like to mention here is when it comes to communicating, especially like Faith mentioned, when you have employees who need to be terminated or who may need to be terminated, not just because of their low performance or probably not adequate performance, but also due to misconduct. I think it's very, very crucial that there is a mechanism or there is a certain kind of training implemented whereby they know how to communicate what they require to employees. Because I know of cases where employees may leave the organization feeling very bitter, probably because either they may have their own reasons why they have been terminated were not justified enough, or it might be the manner how the organization may have treated them during the time of their dismissal. So, which, like Faith mentioned, when you have an employee leaving an organization, you do not want an employee to be probably, as much as possible, talking not very well about the organization they have left. So I think that is also that is all about professionalism here, because you may have something to tell someone which may not be exactly be pleasant, but how do you communicate that? How do you make sure when a person leaves, they're not going to be bitter, angry, or furious about how they have been treated? But if they are given adequate reasons and they are given very clear instructions on why something has been implemented because of how it's affecting the organization, and putting it across in a manner where it is not getting to be humiliating, it creates a whole difference. Because humiliation also, once a person is probably asked to resign, it does create a certain mental health issue or problems or challenge or trauma, which is something they would be carrying it to the next job that they go into. Over to you, Mahmooda.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I see Nuri's clapping hands, and for sure, all of you need a round of applause because you all come with this wealth of knowledge. So I wanted to share a story, because Nur touched on misconduct, you brought it up again, and you always have these elements within an organization, individuals that maybe are more I don't want to use toxic being the word, but maybe more confrontational or able to stir up a lot of trouble. We always talk about this 90-10 rule where 10% of the workers are doing 90% of the work, and then you've got all the rest just kind of like riding on the bandwagon. But I worked for an organization where the management and the directors were very strict about, how people go around spreading gossip and telling tales, trying to bring down other employees or because they're vying for position. So this company I worked with, the policy was they wouldn't entertain any third party conversations. So if you had a complaint to make about somebody, you'd have to email the HR or whichever manager you wanted to make the complaint to. But the rule was you can only lodge the complaint if you copy the person you're complaining about in the email. So, and I thought that was amazing. And you found people just, in the end, it wasn't worth your time trying to cause trouble for a fellow employee because it wasn't entertained. And if you did have something to say, you'd have to have the evidence to back it up. You know, such and such a person did this, it put the company into disrepute. This is the evidence for it. Otherwise, it was simply not entertained at all. Before we move on, I just want to read a comment from the comment box directed at you, Faith. Thank you, Faith. It is crucial to all employers to know the way of communicating to the employees in order to avoid mental health issues by avoiding bad words and respecting the privacy and confidentiality of employees in way of terminating the contracts or jobs. So thank you, panelists. You've touched somebody here. This is Rasafi chiming in. We've got Abdul Karim and Stephen Ahamba joining us as well. Nur Ahmed, we're coming. Oh gosh, time has just simply gotten away, and we've got about 5 minutes or 15 minutes left. How can employees take care of their mental health at work? We spoke about support from the management team, but now we're talking about the employee themselves. What can they do to take care of their mental health?
Well, thank you so much. So before start to answer the question, I would like to ask a question to all of you, like Mahmooda, Seetha, as well as Faith, that do you know what is your market value currently? What is your market value?
Okay, I'm going to
As a
start.
human being, as a human being, as a human being. Any clue? Any answer? Well,
I think that's
thank
a
you.
very Noor, I think that's a very, very tricky question, because what we say may appear to be sounding a little bit arrogant, or it may be sounding perhaps not realistic.
Well, thank you so much for your response. Actually, why asking those? Because as an employee, as a human being, sometimes we feel frustrated. We think that, oh, I have none of the qualities. I have done nothing of my life. I don't have any car. I don't have any flat. Even I don't have my own career. I don't love to exist this eternity in this world. So many things are happening when you are feeling frustrated that your life is not going forward as you are expected. So the answer is very clear. The Tony Bruzan, the ultimate author, the ultimate mind map author, Tony Bruzan said that to create a robot like a human being with the intellectual power, with the intellectual qualities, it cost could be number of $1 billion. Which number of $1 billion? It doesn't actually show. The $1 billion it can be 1 to 10. Just think about it. As a human being, your market value is number of $1 billion, but you have considered yourself that I am nothing but a human being. I don't have any future, and so many things. Anyway, why I'm focusing this? The answer to this question, that how can employee take care of their mental health? Before that, if you have to think about the importance of yours. And there's a reason that ultimately, if you feel the importance of yours, you have to take care of yourself firstly. Take care of yourself, and that what is required mostly rather than the way that I'm going to share. And of course, before I would like to say one more thing, that currently my workplace is nearly 400 kilometers from my residence. I stay in the remotely, and I try to take the challenges that I have to do something. I have to work for the humanitarian crisis management at the field level. That's why I'm here. And I found that my sound sleep is not happening perfectly. That what is required for my job, for my life. And I just changed my sleep behavior that I have been doing in last 30 years of my life. Now I changed, and I started my day at 4:30 a.m. from the morning, and then I'm doing some productive work. And this is what I share, that try to have the sound sleep. Otherwise, your mind won't be work. You will not be a productive personal employee, whatever you say. You have to have the sound sleep. And of course, you have to have, or you have to take the healthy meal. And that I'm not going to share that much. You already know about that. But another thing I would like to focus is practice the relaxation techniques, which is required for the number of workload, number of pressure, deadline, targets. You have to be relaxed. So in that reason, you have to do you have to find out some relaxation techniques, which is actually make the impact of your life. So I would like to say one more thing, that is build resilience, which is required. And finally, I would like to focus as maintain regular work schedule. It will help you to segregate all of your works, and it also give you the ultimate reminder that you have to have some sort of works within this day and some upcoming days. So ultimately, the work routine will help you to take care of your mental health issues, because when you maintain the work routine, work plan, it ultimately give you the reduce the all the work pressure, all the deadline things, all the activities of your organization or of your workplace. So this all about me. I think mostly I would like to emphasize this: please take care of yourself firstly, because you are the key person who can rule your life. You are the key person who can change your life, and you are the person who can make the difference. So over to you, Mahmooda.
Oh my God, Nur Ahmed for president. Let me tell you, that was just some sort of campaign speech.
No, I think that
Brilliant.
is so well said. Absolutely, so well said, Noor. Mahmood, if I could just be permitted to add two more points to the excellent list that already Noor has mentioned, can I please?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mahmood. I think the thing I would like to add to that is, apart from taking care of oneself, I think it's also important to have a right work life balance when you are part of an organization, and also to create clear boundaries between work and home, which often doesn't happen because you're either, especially if you're working from home, that becomes even more challenging. But otherwise, also setting aside boundaries is a very huge challenge for many people. And last but not least, one more point which I'd like to add is prioritization or time management. When you have a to do list, things become a lot more easier to manage. I'm not saying it becomes absolutely easy, but at least easier to manage and move ahead. And at the same time, maintain the quality of your personal and professional life. Over to you, Mahmooda.
You know, they say great minds think alike. And Sita, it's like you were reading the notes I was taking as Nur Ahmed was speaking, because I was going to talk about work life balance. I was going to talk about making sure you do those to do lists. So I don't have anything else to add to this at all. I just, what a comprehensive answer. Um, Before we move on, I want to just read up Stephen Ahamba's comment that he's made here. I think it's a good one. He says these three A's can help us manage mental health challenges in the workplace: appreciation, appraisal, and acceptability. He goes on to expand and
Very
he says appreciation. Employers should have a good reward system which can help motivate their employees to perform better at all times, irrespective of their absence. Appraisal. Always evaluate your workers' performance. Conducting a holistic evaluation can go a long way. Check and know their felt needs and wants. And then he touches on acceptability and says, always accept, accommodate, and tolerate each other. Stephen, what a wonderful comment to throw in there. And I think absolutely crucial,
Absolutely.
right? There was something I wanted to say, but now it's kind of like slipped my mind around work scheduling, but maybe it'll come back to me. Nur Ahmed, you asked, what is your value? What is your market value? And Seetha jumped in, but I was thinking, I always overvalue myself in my head. So I'm so glad you told me I'm worth billions of dollars. The problem is the corporates are not going to pay me that. But it's okay because now I know my worth and I love where I stand. So it's been an amazing conversation. Faith, do you have any last thoughts around this topic that we've spoken on tonight? We were discussing how to manage mental health in the workplace, and it's been an absolutely amazing discussion with Seetha, Nur Ahmed, and Faith. So, Faith, over to you for some final comments before we round up. We've got about 5 minutes left.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this session. I mean, it was worth my time. To add to how employees can manage their mental health, in addition to all that has been said, I want to say that employees must learn to communicate. Um, Communicate in terms of so we have people that take on more responsibilities, people that are over promoted beyond their competence or capacity, right? And of course, because you probably want to secure your job, you don't want to appear as one who doesn't take responsibilities, you keep on taking more than you can handle. And in the end, there is overwhelm, there is stress, there is burnout, there is that inability to juggle all that you now have to do. So being able to communicate, being able to set boundaries, being able to say no when you honestly know that you cannot meet up with certain deadlines, certain deliverables, is a good way to protect yourself from unnecessary pressure, and stress. And of course, we've talked about prioritizing self-care. Basically, just do what works best for you, right? What helps you to relax. For some people, it might just be taking days off work to cool off, to rest their minds, to rest their brains, so that they are able to come back to work more rejuvenated. For some people, it's basically just being able to pick what works for you and what helps you to stay productive, active. What helps you to manage stress, manage burnout, manage, because these are the most basic forms of mental health issues we have day in, day out. And if it's possible, and this is to organizations as well, when people have the opportunity to cut down on commuter times, the stress from commuting to work, commuting back home, these are also part of the reasons why people get to work and they are so exhausted, they are tired, they can't even start off their days so well. So yes, so there are a lot of considerations, but as an employee, being able to communicate, being able to say this is the extent of responsibility I can accommodate at this time based on my level of competence, based on my capacity, would help to manage the level of responsibility that comes to you. And by the time you take it one step at a time and you grow into bigger responsibilities, you've been able to understand yourself and how you are able to achieve excellence at work, and then it becomes easier to grow into bigger roles. So once again, Mahmood, I hope I got it. Mahmooda, I'm so sorry, Mahmooda, Sita, and I didn't get that name. It's been an absolute beautiful evening. It's been an absolute pleasure sharing my evening with you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Faith. Thank you for being part of this panel. It's been amazing. But you said something, and I need to throw this out there. Maybe Sita can take this up. We've spoken tonight a lot around the support for the employees. Let's talk about entrepreneurs and employers themselves, because Faith brought up the topic of responsibility and the overwhelm that comes with that. So not only do we need to support our staff, but as employers, how do we navigate this space for ourselves? So Seetha, I'm throwing that one over to you. And I know I was talking about time, but I think this is really important.
Thank you, Mahmooda. I think for managers, I would say the first step would be to welcome feedback in terms of how they are managing. That's very, very important. The first one. Second one is also to interact, speak with leaders you admire, because there is a lot of input you are able to gain when you talk with leaders whom you admire, with mentors whom you are able to interact with and gain wisdom regarding how you're managing your employees and, of course, the workplace. And the next step would be to take a course to develop management skills. Like any field, it is continuous learning as well, and this field is no different. And also to improve the well-being at work would be also by developing the right management skills. Undergo a certain appraisal yourself periodically. Maybe it could be through the appraisal review meetings you might be having with your staff. Spend some time reflecting post such a review meeting, asking yourself, how have you performed? How have you been able to communicate? Are there areas where you need to work? Because that is the only way we are able to improve, so as to ensure that we are able to communicate better and create a better, more positive workplace that is tolerant, and create a healthier workplace environment that promotes mental health awareness.
100%. Absolutely. Seetha, now you spoke about the tolerance, which is something one of our commenters had, Stephen, I think, touched on that. I also want to touch over the area of respect. It's just like in personal relationships, the idea of respecting each other in the workplace is so vital. It's one thing to tolerate, but it's a whole other thing to respect. And maybe Noor Ahmed, in your closing remarks and whatnot, you can touch on this, but also, surrounding yourself with the right team around you. We take it for granted. You spoke about mentorship, and I think it's really important. But even in your day-to-day, maybe appoint non-executive directors. These will be your support system, because they'll always give you, not only constructive criticism, but they'll always be looking to better the organization. So Noor Ahmed, I'm going to come to you now for your closing remarks on this topic. Please, anything you feel you haven't said, just this is the chance to say it.
All right. So actually, there's a lot of things to say, but I would like I'm not interested to accelerate my words to the story and story sharing things. Anyway, love yourself, take care of yourself, invest yourself, and find the difference.
Beautiful. So precise and concise. Is there anyone else who wants to say something before we close for the evening? Seetha, go for it.
Mahmooda, I'd just like to add, you talked about respect. And I think this is something I always begin any session whenever we have a GYMHA session. I always start off with. But today, unfortunately, I forgot. And I'm very sorry about it. So before I conclude, I would just like to mention, in the spirit of respect, I would like to recognize the Aboriginal peoples of Australia as a traditional custodians of Australia. I take this opportunity to pay my respects to them, their culture, and the future. Thank you very much. It has been an immense pleasure for me and privilege to be a part of this panel and led by our moderator, Mahmooda. Thank you so much, Faith, and Noor. Learned a lot today, and it's been great interacting with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You have been beautiful panelists. On behalf of GYMHA, I would like to thank the audience for staying with us throughout the show. And don't forget to join us. We have these every couple of weeks. This is a program brought to you by GYMHA Mind Matters talk shows. These are designed to captivate and stimulate your mind. I am Mahmooda Khan signing out from Zimbabwe. Have a great evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you're chiming in from. Thank you for having joined us. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
so much.
Thank you so much, and brilliant, Mahmooda. Have a great day to all of you.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
You